peeps? Hey, happy 4th, everyone. Hopefully, people got some good food today. Kenny, what's up, man? Good to see you here. Welcome back. Good to see you decided to stick with the fam here. Just so everyone knows, in the background, what I'm starting to do, starting with the last one when I did brain damage in the background, I'm just running Return of the Living Dead in the background. So every now and then, if there's a break in what's going on, I can just look over and see what's up. So good to have in the background. What's up, Heather? Uncle Pete, Heather, Kenny. What's up, you guys? Let's see if there's anyone else in here. No, it's just us at the moment, which fine. Let's wait for a little bit before we get talking. Zombie Dawn. Hello. How are you? I don't recognize the name, so I don't know if I don't think you've commented on any videos, but welcome. We're going to be talking about Under the Skin, the A24 film starring Scarlett Johansson, sorry. My allergies today. And then Dead Alive after that. Oh, Heather, this was one of your buddies. Okay, then welcome, Dawn. We'll start the grill in about 45 minutes. Steaks, corn, and potatoes? Yeah, sounds good, Uncle Pete. Sounds really good. Yeah, Kenny, no problem. I'll shout out anyone. Anyone and everyone who shows up. Typo. It's fine. Typo's fine, Kenny. Don't worry. Typos are fine. Dead Alive, do you mean Brain Dead? Yes. Brain Dead originally, when it came out in its country of origin, Dead Alive in the United States. I only ever initially knew it as Dead Alive, which is why I just call it that, because that was the original for me. But yeah, Brain Dead. Yes. Dawn. Should I call you Dawn or Zombie Dawn? I don't know what you prefer. I'll go with either. But Zombie Dawn. Yes. Heather told me you were probably going to be showing up. I appreciate her saying something, and I hope you have a good time. It's all about, like I kind of tell people, this is like a book club, but for horror movies. So, I've always been into the idea of book clubs, but not into the idea of reading a whole lot. I mean, I do read, but reading makes me really tired, so I don't do it a lot. I watch more movies because I'm more of a visual person, too. Dead Alive was awesome, gory as hell. Oh yeah, Kenny. Yeah. Yeah, Dead Alive, it's I think it still holds up as being particularly crazy, a very unique film in its own right, and I think it still stands out as being unique because I don't really think there have been that many movies done since that are as quirky and gore filled and practical effects filled as it is, because it is chock full in that film. Yeah, Uncle Pete, it's super fun. Um, just call you Zombie then, Dawn? Okay, I'll just call you Zombie. Sounds good. I'm down for that. Oh yeah, I love Brain Dead. It's my favorite zombie movie and one of my all-time horror comedies. Nice, Leon. Nice. Which, by the way, welcome, Leon. I forgot to say that. I just started reading your stuff. Um, cool. Zombie, you can dig it. I dig it. Do you guys, when you guys are doing this, do you have anything on in the background? If so, let me know what you guys have on in the background. Yeah, it's fine if you call it Brain Dead, Leon. I don't care. Either way. As long as we all know Dead Alive is Brain Dead is Dead Alive. Same movie. I'm sure that almost all of you, or all of you, probably already knew that, so I'm not educating anyone on that, I'm sure. I've never been in a book club. Not as Karad. What's up, man? Should I just call you Dark Satan or what? Or Satan or Dark or what do you want? What do you prefer? Or if you have another name, let me know. And yeah, you've never been a part of a book club. Well, you can kind of now say you're a part of a book club, I guess, if you want to. It's up to you. But good to see you here, man. Oh, and by the way, you should start noticing that in my no spoiler reviews, I'm doing what you suggested, which is giving like a short little synopsis of the movie. I can't remember, I can't believe that's something that had never occurred to me. So thank you very much for bringing that up. I really do appreciate that. Definitely more a visual person myself. Yeah, Kenny. Yeah, I hear you, man. No, probably, man. Just call you man, Leon. I could do that. Yes, Marshall. Of course you are chilling with your lady. Your lady. You're almost. It's like I'm almost rooting for her, right? So good to see you, Marshall. Back as usual. Twitter feed on in the background. All right, all right. Nodus. Okay, I'll call you Nodus. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get feedback from people in different ways, and if I can tell it's like a genuine piece of feedback, I will definitely consider that. There are some people who have feedback such as just shave your head already, and that's not really feedback. That's more of just like internet trolling. So I'm intentionally not going to do that for that reason. But when you throw out things like, hey, maybe it would be cool if you did this in your video, I'll consider it. I'll always consider those types of things. So yeah, I had one person say recently, "Don't use your hands so much," but that's not gonna happen. Like I said, I will think about it. I will see if it's something I can do, but there are no promises because I'm just a hand talker. That's natural for me, and I don't want to have to think too much about my mannerisms because I'm busy thinking about the content about what I want to talk about. Autocorrect. Yeah, autocorrect, all good. Can I start with the scene that hooked me into the movie? Yes. Uncle Pete. I mean, yeah, let's go ahead and just start talking about Under the Skin. So the way we do it for the people who haven't been in the other ones, the one that's named first, the more serious film, we'll talk about first, and then after that we'll talk about the less serious one. So we're going to talk about Under the Skin first, and then when we feel like we've kind of exhausted that, then we're going to jump over to talking about Dead Alive. So yeah, Uncle Pete, bring up whatever you want, and we'll just get rolling on that. Yeah, haha, shave. Got Shudder TV live in the background, currently showing The Burning. Looks like an 80s slasher movie. Yeah, Kenny, I saw that they were running The Burning, and it's one I've been meaning to watch for years, actually, so I'm really excited that they got it. So I was tempted to have it on, but I'm like, no, when I first watch it, I want to be able to, like, really pay attention. So I will be watching that maybe this week, and then doing a review, but the review won't come out, like, immediately. It'll be a few weeks, but really looking forward to that. Yeah, Uncle Pete, I know you loved it. I talk with my hands a bit too. A bit too much, Heather. Yeah. Here's the thing: a lot of people talk with their hands, a lot, and there are plenty of people who talk very extensively with their hands. Like I don't know what it is. Like I don't know. It feels right. It feels good. It's just something I do. The scene at the beach was very disturbing. Yeah, the dog in the water with the woman going out for the dog, then the man getting out for the woman, the surfer trying to help, but the guy goes back out. Yeah, so yes, the beach scene was so brutal. Yes, Kenny, totally. And I agree with that. Like I think that I mean obviously it's intentionally in the film, and I think it's in the film to kind of show how disconnected, like to what level the female, which is what I'm going to call Scarlett Johansson's character, because that's how it's listed on IMDb. I think it was to show how disconnected the female is from actual human society, like humans in general, and how they operate and their feelings and all that type of stuff. Because in that moment that she's in and everything she sees on the beach, if she was human at all, she would be trying to help, or she would at least have some sort of visceral reaction to it, versus still just being in that mindset, in that mode of food, 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 and then going and, whacking the guy on the head because that's a food source for her. So I think that was kind of there to show to what degree she was kind of cold and just operating off of base alien instincts, basically. The surfer gets smashed in the head, the baby crying, the whole part left me a bit shook. Very well done, and there was barely any dialogue. I agree. And that's the thing in general, Uncle Pete, with this film, is there isn't a whole lot of dialogue, but the film still does really well, and it tells the story. And I love films that can do that. I know there are a lot of people who kind of don't like the idea of a film not having a whole lot of dialogue, but I really like the whole thing that they say for good writing, and I know Heather's going to feel me on this one. show, don't tell. I don't want characters in their dialogue to tell me what's going on in the story. I want to see through the visuals and the events of the story what is happening. I want that to tell the story, and not people saying, because there's so many movies that do this at the end, guess what just happened? And a character actually says what happened, and it's like, we saw it. Like, then I just feel like you're treating your audience like they're dumb. The baby crying was an impactful scene. Yeah, Marshall, yeah, it was. And I think that's another thing, is that scene was constructed that way, I think, to be disturbing to audience members, because they feel how disturbing it is, and then they see and recognize how not disturbing that is for the female in this, for Scarlett Johansson's character, and that creates kind of this void, this divide between the audience and that main character, which is why it's such a interesting, weird, crazy film to watch, because it's through the lens of this alien being that is not human, who's just observing humans. And it's hard as an audience member, as a human, to connect with that perspective. So it's just very interesting, and it's kind of hard to watch for that reason. Why would anyone want to sit there like a zombie? No hand movement. Yeah, no, I hear you, Nadas. For sure. Yeah, I hear you, man. Because, yeah, that's the thing. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just go like this? I mean, I have things going on in the background, but, you know. The alien Scarlet had no reaction to the baby. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's probably the most base human reaction, is that, like, as animals, as human beings, we are programmed in our core to react to crying, to specifically a baby crying, because that's nature. Like, you're supposed to react to that in bad ways because you want to go see what's wrong with the baby, to console the baby, to take care of the baby's needs. So, also when she hit the dude with the rock was jaw-dropping to me. Yeah, Marshall, it's a you don't see it coming. It's a very particularly cold moment, and it really just exercises to you how messed up the situation is and how disconnected everything is, like I was saying. I recently saw Sleepaway Camp, freaky movie. Oh, Gloin, Gloin the Hobbit. If the first time you've seen Sleepaway Camp, man, that's crazy. That's a great movie. I love that movie. Leon's movie. Leon, I agree with the show. Don't tell. Yeah, Leon, you hear me. Although, I know there are some people who just like, who like the tell don't show necessarily, and that's fine. I'm just saying from my perspective. Yes, Carlin, show don't tell. We don't need excess exposition. Yeah, Marshall. We're on the same wavelength with that, for sure. Thanks for letting me know that the men in her car were non-actors. The movie had a naturalistic feel to it, makes it realistic, that an alien wouldn't really be able to hold a conversation with people. Yeah, and that's a good point, Kenny. Yeah, them kind of shooting it the way they did was really cool, because you got natural reactions from the actual human beings in the film, and you got this very alien reaction, which is like no reaction, basically, from Scarlett Johansson's character. I still need to see Sleepaway Camp. Yes, Marshall, you do. All three Sleepaway Camps are on Shudder right now. Definitely worth watching. They're fun. Yes, Zombie. Sleepaway Camp is so much fun. I'd say all three of them are a lot of fun, but the first one in particular, obviously. Heather, sadly, Marshall, some people need it. I never got the this movie explained videos. I usually think, are people that stupid that they need this movie explained? There are people of all intelligence levels out there, and one of the other things too is there are people who, when they watch a movie, they don't want to really think a whole lot about the movie. They actually just want the movie to tell them what's going on, and that's fine, like, if that's how you want it. But those are normally the people who have very negative reactions to a lot of the A24 horror films, like we've been talking about, Under the Skin and The Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Blackcoat's Daughter. So, but it's one of those things that's like, let's try not to, say someone's stupid because they don't like movies that show and don't tell. And the opposite too, let's not have people who are into those type of movies say that that you're dumb and you don't know what you're talking about, and it's actually a terrible film if we like films like A24 does with their horror films. Be right back, knock at the door. Got it, zombie. We'll... Oh, false alarm. Okay, I was going to say, if you don't come back in like 5 minutes, we'll call 911. I would like to hear what people thought of the scene with the man with deformities. Yeah, Uncle Pete. Oh yeah, I heard about Sleepaway Camp. People didn't want to spoil it for me. Oh yeah, Kenny. It's a lot better to experience Sleepaway Camp if you don't know what the end is. But even if you do, it's still definitely worth watching. I hate those ending explained videos, Heather. There's no explaining. They're just saying what happened. Right, Marshall. Yeah. And that's kind of one of the things that, speaking to that, Marshall and Heather, when I was thinking about doing my channel for movie reviews, I was like, what type of movie review do I want? Because I don't enjoy movie reviews where people just tell me, hey, I like the movie, and then remember this part, I like this. I do a little bit of that, especially for the films that aren't that deep, that don't have a whole lot to say, that are more just kind of on the surface, and it's just about the action, the killing, scary moments, stuff like that. So I do that a little bit, but I also try to go much deeper because I'm an inquisitive person when I watch film. I have a very intimate relationship with film, and I kind of always have. And so I always want to find out why with a film. Like, why is this story important? Why were these certain things in the script? Because everything's there usually for a reason. There are some filmmakers who just kind of, they put things in and they don't have real reasons for it, but most of the time there's an actual reason for it. And I want to know the why. I'm an inquisitive person. I need to go. It's 1:15 at night in Sweden. Oh my gosh. Leon, you're in Sweden? Cool. And also, 1:15. Geez. Sorry, man. I live where I live, so I need to go and sleep. And sorry, man. I am really sorry and might return if I can't sleep, but I probably won't. That's okay. No. It's fine, man. You don't have to apologize. Have a great day. You too, Leon. Well, have a great night, Leon. Have a great day tomorrow when you wake up. Yeah. Marshall, Uncle Pete, I was surprised when I found out it wasn't makeup. Great casting. Yeah. And like I said in my review, I don't know if everyone watched the review I put up for Under the Skin today or not, but it was, they used the organization Changing Faces, who kind of focuses on supporting people who have I think it's just facial deformities, and they try to kind of, help them in society and support them. And so the director, John Glazer, had reached out to that organization, and they found that actor to play that role. So I think it's really cool that they went for realism, Plus, there's a whole thing where people are kind of all like, if you're looking for that type of actor, there are actors out there who are that person. So instead of using prosthetics, why don't you just find the person? Or there are multiple people you could choose. So give them the work. And I do dig that. The scenes where she pulls them into the dark room and then they go under were definitely horror-like, yes. Never seen something quite like it. They can't talk or really move around, and it's silent. Yeah, Kenny. So the way I viewed that is it being a very artsy, non-visceral, non-blood and guts gore way of representing her consuming those individuals. Because when I was doing some research on this is based off a book, and in the book it apparently is very graphic in how it tells what she does. She processes the bodies for meat, is what it is. So she is killing them to eat them, but in the film they do it in a way more, I guess in a way more sexy way, and it's very sleek, it's very stylish, it's very artistic, and it's also vague. So if people want to read into it a different way, you can see it that way. It's a consuming of types, and so when they're kind of in the black and then they're kind of like going down into the water, they're walking into her trap as she's walking away, and they're being consumed by that person. That's why they're going underneath. And then the whole thing where the one guy's there and he's underwater, and then he sees the other guy underwater who's like appears like he's kind of like partially digested. And that was real freaky, and it looked really good. I love that part. Also, the music that plays with it, Kenny, I thought it was a nice touch. Yes. The music in general in this, Marshall, I think was well done. Well done. Not as I like explained reviews if the reviewer isn't an idiot and they're talking about complex films like Kubrick stuff. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Which, by the way, Kubrick, yes. Oh, I love Kubrick. I mean, The Shining is one of my favorite films, so yeah. The body has come to life in Return of the Living Dead. I dig the creepy score. Had a very creepy and unsettling vibe to it. Yeah, Kenny, it did. I have the same disease as that man, but I do not have the deformities. It's a disease where tumors grow on the nerves. Yeah. And I do want to recognize, Uncle Pete, that you sharing that with everyone here is a big thing. So I do appreciate that. It's not easy to talk about stuff like that. But your comfort level is more than admirable, in my opinion, for that. And that is interesting because I think that creates an additional level of understanding with the film, an additional level of connection with the film. But obviously, you can talk about that. Love how that scene she didn't react and is reacting to that. Yeah. He had so much trepidation. Ooh, great word, trepidation. I love it. I'm big on vocab words, so if I see a good vocab word, I'm going to call it out as being great. So trepidation, nice. He thought it was a joke. That's why he didn't go to her in the black room. That scene meant a lot to me because she saw under the skin with him and accepted him. Yes. Yeah, and it's this dual meaning in the film. Like, obviously, Under the Skin is at its on the surface, it's about who the female is under her skin, under her fake skin. She's an alien. But it's, like Uncle Pete says, seeing under the skin of humanity, seeing also under the skin of her character, that it's not just all about consuming humans and feeding on them, because she does go through some changes. She wants to become a human. And the scene that Uncle Pete is talking about at the moment is the moment. It's the defining moment in the film where everything turns, everything changes for that character, even though she's an alien. I just feel weird about calling her a character since she's not human. But she wants to become human at that point because she sees something different. She sees more in this person than everyone else before because he looks different. Actually, it's not so much because he looks different, because if you notice, when she picked him up, she treats him exactly the same as everyone else. And it's much like when, we as people look at a species, let's just say octopus. Do octopi look that different to us? No, but to octopi amongst themselves, do they look different? I guarantee it. So it's one of those things where I feel like her as an alien, she doesn't see the differences in humans. She just uses the interactions that she's learned to interact with every human that way, every male human, to get what she's looking for out of that interaction, which is the consumption of them for food. So she treats him the same, which is why he's very much like, what's going on? Because he's not used to being treated that way because of the way he looks, but she sees him for what is under the skin initially, which is meat, which is sustenance. But then later, when she tries, is going to potentially consume him, she sees under the skin in a different way. And that's that there's more there, at least to this individual, than just food. Like, there's something that sparks her interest. It's something that makes her want to change. And I think that's seen very well in how they shoot that scene, where he's just standing there. Because remember, every scene before that in the black room, the guys are naked and walking after her. And she's walking away, and then they walk down into the water. He doesn't move. He doesn't pursue her. So that's a behavior she's not familiar with. The behavior she's familiar with is being pursued after she encounters these men, because she's attractive. As a human, she's attractive. So she's used to that one way. So this individual acts differently. She has to go to him. She considers eating him, and then it's just like, why is this different? And that starts everything going, which I just think it's a pretty amazing part. But he had wait, where am I lost my spot. Sorry. That scene. I liked your metaphor with her observing the ant, like how people would observe an ant colony to analyze them. Thanks, Kenny. Yeah, I just made that tie-in just because that was something that happened in the beginning of the film when she picked up that little ant and it was on her and she was just kind of staring at it. I felt like she kind of looked at it the same way that she was watching humans throughout the film, which is, going back to what I said, it's weird to watch this film that way because it's an observational lens on humans, and being humans, we already understand why humans do what they do, or we at least think we do in most situations. To see, the gaze of the camera be from a standpoint of just being observing and trying to take things in, it's weird. But I feel like she looked at the ant the same way she looks at humans because it's, they're both foreign entities to her. I can give the dialogue to Return of the Living Dead, seen it so many times. Nice, Uncle Pete. I have not seen it so many times, but I want to because it's so good. Yeah, Uncle Pete. You don't have to thank me for telling you that. It's just how it is, man. I think there's a dual meaning to the ant. Yeah, I definitely... There definitely is something else there, most likely, Heather. Just like with the biker, because I know in my review video I threw out a theory about the biker guy, but I'm still kind of confused about that. And I know, Heather, you said that you have a theory, so whenever you want, whenever you feel ready, you throw that theory in there, because I'm very interested to see what you think about that. Marshall, fireworks already? Yeah. I've been hearing them off and on for the past 2 weeks, maybe. Not a lot in the past 2 weeks. Heard more yesterday. And then there'll be a lot tonight. I've heard a little bit during the day today, but not as much as I thought. Uncle Pete, that theory is solid for why she didn't absorb him. I thought it was she maybe saw she might look deformed since she took him in. That's why she was looking in the mirror for so long. And that is possible. That's something to consider as well, Uncle Pete, that... well, because here's another thing, not to be brash about it, but when you look at a piece of food, because that's what she's doing initially, is looking at a piece of food, if it looks different than all the other food like that you've seen, are you going to stop for a second and be like, I don't know if I should eat this or not? Like, say all your steaks look exactly the same when you get them, and then one time you go and get the steak and it looks gray. You're going to stop and be like, should I eat this steak? I'm not so sure I should. I don't know what's going to happen. So that is a good point, Uncle Pete. That is a good point. I think the alien inside the skin has been in different life forms. Huh. That's a good theory. I didn't really think past the film like that, but that's an interesting theory. Yeah, I could see that. That's why when she was naked, she was moving all her parts around. What does this do? Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, it seems like she has the basic same anatomy as a human being, so maybe it's all like upright hominid type creatures that she's been in, just different skins, basically. She was asking herself that question also when she was about to have sex, and she grabbed the mirror to look at her vagina and wondered, why did that go in there? What I thought, Uncle Pete, on that is that she didn't have a vagina, and she was like, what just happened? Why? Because she was feeling the moment, and I viewed it as her wanting to make that final connection, and she started to feel that was natural with that person, and then it just wasn't happening because you could kind of see like the awkwardness, and then it looked like it just wasn't happening, and that's why I think she like reacted the way she did. But that's also another interesting side to think about it. But I viewed it as she didn't even have that anatomy. Think of the aliens like an ant colony. The biker is a soldier ant. He is clearing things up for the worker, the female, who is taking food back to the colony. Ooh. I love that, Heather. That is... I want to say you're probably right. I mean, to me, it sounds great. It makes sense. That really does tie in. That's a good point. That's a really good point, and that's a tie into the ant as well. I like that. Yeah, the worker ant, because he gets rid of, or it's at least insinuated that he gets rid of the guy that she does not consume. And maybe that's because he then has her scent on him. So it may very well be that he's out cleaning up everything that has her scent on it. Just another theory to build off that. The other woman in the beginning that was crying was perhaps a fallen alien that caught emotions. That's how I saw it. I could see that. That's an interesting idea, Marshall. Yeah, that's quite possible. Yeah, Uncle Pete. I like Heather's theory as well. It's pretty nice. Yeah, I wasn't sure who the human Scarlet was in the beginning. That part confused me. Yeah. I felt like the moment of her in the white room where she was kind of like putting the clothing on. I think that was her kind of taking the form of the person who was laying on the ground, is what it seemed like to me. These different viewpoints really add to the movie. Yeah, they 100%. And that's why I love doing this, because I think about it a certain way. I know all of us just think about it in one certain way. And then when someone else introduces an idea, that starts the mind just going off in another direction to kind of add more context or add different context. Carlin, I like that. Oh, haha. Good point out, Heather. Yeah. He is also getting rid of stuff at the beach, the stuff the guy she takes. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. So that would be, so that might tie into what I was saying about, anything with her scent on it. Sorry, my cat's distracted me a little bit. You can get up there. You can do what you want. Things have been moved around, so she's inspecting. Yeah, I like how this movie brings a lot of different interpretations. That's what a movie should do, but I did enjoy something like Return of the Living Dead, where it's just a fun and wild ride. Yeah, Kenny, I hear you, and I'm the same way. Like, I'm all over the place. I love movies like this where they're big time thinkers, where you spend a lot of time afterwards thinking about, well, what did this mean and what did this mean, and ultimately what's this film trying to say. But I also love films that are just dumb, and not even films that are just like dumb entertainment, but films that suck. Like, I do like to watch the movies that straight up are crap, because it's fun to laugh at something that's not intentionally bad. And I have a movie that I want us to watch and talk about for one of the live streams that I watched recently that is one of those movies that's just bad, but it's so much fun because it's so bad. The stuff of the guy she takes, I mean. Yes, yeah. I got you, Heather. There's a report on the radio that the guy is found, but not the wife and kid, who I assume was taken by the tide, but no mention of the guy or anyone else. Yeah, I did notice that too. Yeah, so I guess she was, in that sense, in the clear. Scarlett Johansson's character was in the clear because the survivors were gone, and then she took the one guy and consumed him, we assume. Totally agree with you. Movies can serve different purposes. Yeah, and they should, because audiences are very diverse. Not everyone's looking for the same thing. But there are broad categories of types of viewers, and that's why certain films get made, because they know they have that audience base, so they can make money. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else? You guys have already brought up a lot of great stuff that I wanted to talk about with this film, so thank you. It's like you guys are basically leading the discussion. I appreciate that. I think movies are supposed to be interpreted differently. Yeah, Uncle Pete. I mean, in my opinion, there are a lot of directors out there, writers and directors, who will make films and they intentionally don't say what their personal meanings were behind them or what they intended to be done with them, and just kind of leave it up to everyone's imagination, because that's what's going to play best with each individual person, is if they can imbue it with some sort of importance or meaning that means something to them, that hits as being good to them. versus just saying, well, this is what I meant it to be. But there are those directors too who will come out and they want to tell you, like, this is how I meant it to be. But I know, like, John Carpenter, I think a lot of the times does not want to say what he intended with films, and he says that, like, it can be whatever you want it to be. And yeah, that is cool. I do like that. I think A24 movie run. Actually, Kenny, for the next one, I'm gonna propose that we step back. We can go back to A24 at some point, but potentially, but we'll I want to step to something different, and later on I'll talk about what I want to move to. I actually have set up, if you guys are down with it, my proposed movies for the next 2 streams, and there are reasons for those movies. And I'll talk about it later. When the alien was looking at her skin at the end, it was really creepy to see the eyes moving. Yeah, Heather, it was for me. It was a freaky weird moment. But it's interesting because that's like, as soon as she becomes disappointed is when she starts to show human emotions that generate empathy, usually from humans. And so as a viewer, like, that's the first time you're really starting to, like, really feel sorry for her, is when she's trying to have sex, basically, and then she's, looking down there, and you could see the disappointment. And then everything after that is just, it's sad and it's tragic. And you start to then view her as human because she's kind of indulged in a more human life, something that's not just physical, even though she wanted to be involved in the physical, sexual physical. But for her, up until that point, it was all about the physical of eating and getting sustenance. And yeah, once she gets away from that and sees that her food can basically be so much more, she finds a different life, a more fulfilling, a differently sustaining life, giving her different sustenance is what I mean. Just think about it. Every movie is someone's favorite, even White Chicks. That is someone. I haven't seen the movie White Chicks, by the way, and it didn't look like my thing. True, Heather, when she was running away, she became the prey, so it was a realization moment. Yeah, definitely. White Chicks is my sister's favorite movie. Oh, that's funny. That's funny that was brought up. I heard they were making a sequel to White Chicks. Scarlett was amazing by the way she really pulled off. Being unhuman. Yeah, she did pull off being unhuman quite well. I heard people in the movie didn't believe it was her because she was so unassuming, but she is so famous in real life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and there have been times where I've seen someone in real life, and it takes that kind of moment where you're just like, is that actually the famous person they look like? Because you just assume they're not going to be there. And I'm sure that's a lot of what it was kind of like for people. Going back to what you're saying, Kenny, is just be like, well, I mean, it looks like Scarlett Johansson, but, like, she wouldn't be here. Like, she doesn't consort with normal people like us. Horrible idea. It's going to be bad like Dumb and Dumber 2. Ooh, God. Yeah, it's a bad sequel, Marshall. Dumb and Dumber 2. Although there are some moments that are okay-ish. Scarlett was incredible. She did so much acting with barely any dialogue. Great performance. Agreed. Yeah, Uncle Pete. She did a killer job with it. And that's the importance of having someone who can handle material in a film. There are so many times where, even with big budget films, they don't get the right actor who can actually pull stuff off. I know some people won't feel the same way, but I'm going to throw a name out there. I don't like the way Mark Ruffalo acts for the most part. One of the main reasons being I feel that he can only do one form of acting at a time. He can either he can physically act, or he can dialogue act. And it's one or the other. It's usually not at the same time. But that's how I feel. Like, so for me, when he's in stuff, not a fan. There are people who are even worse that I can't stand, but I'm not going to go there. Scarlett's phenomenal in this movie. She acts visually. In the movie, she acts vocally. Oh, that's a good point, Marshall. Oh, that's interesting. And they came out in the same year. Isn't that crazy? Under the Skin and Her came out in the same year, and one of them's all vocal acting, and the other one's almost all visual, like physical acting. That's very interesting. Thanks for bringing that up. That's cool. Weird that it happens like that. Kenny didn't. You didn't even know there's a sequel to Dumb and Dumber. There were two sequels. Yeah. I mean, the original is way better, obviously, but skip it, Kenny. I mean, I feel like every movie's worth seeing once because you never know. Like, you might find that one movie that everyone hates, but you really like it for some reason. Just saying. Yeah, I agree. What happened to Edward Norton? He doesn't act anymore, I guess. What did happen? He's from the Baltimore area too, so always had pride. I was like, Edward Norton, man, from my area. But yeah, he kind of fell off. Well, one is a prequel, actually. Right. Yeah. Good point. Thank you for correcting, Heather. You're right. Yeah. For sure. Okay, trying to think if there's anything else about Under the Skin. We covered a ton. I liked it a lot. Oh, one of the big things is, I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but I feel like it's potential that in Under the Skin, there's a metaphor for what women in general have to deal with in society, because Scarlett Johansson kind of goes, she's a cold physical monster when she's going after sex. Well, it's what's kind of perceived that she's going after sex, even though she's actually eating. What the humans she interacts with are seeing is her going after sex. And then when she's not into that, when she's not going after the physical aspect of things, and she's changed, and she's looking for more deep connection, emotional, that flips around, and then you have a human who shows up who wants the physical aspect of it, and because she doesn't go along with that, she's attacked, literally attacked, and then that exposes her inner, who she is under the skin, and she's killed for that. So I kind of viewed it a little bit as what I want to say, a kind of hyperbolized way that women have to deal with things in our society of, if you're very physical and you want something, you're kind of a monster, you're cold, you're a slut, a whore, whatever. And then if you don't want it, then it's, oh, you're prude, you're not, giving men what they want, you kind of incur a wrath basically from men because you're not interested, or you turn them down or whatever. But, take that with a grain of salt, obviously, because I'm a male, so I can't know this stuff. I'm just theorizing. I like Edward Norton, but I hear he's a dick. I've heard that a few times, Uncle Pete, but I don't know. It's one of those things, like, I'd have to meet him. I've heard that about other people, too, and heard conflicting stuff. Like Tom Savini in the horror community is one of the big ones that a lot of people say, oh, he's a total jerk. And then there are a bunch of other people who show up and be like, oh, he was nothing but nice when I met him. But that kind of comes down to, people are people, and, you have a good day, you have a bad day. That's all it could come down to. Could be a decent person, but, having a bad day one day. I don't know. Oh, wow, I didn't know you were from Baltimore. I'm not from Baltimore. I live in the Baltimore-ish area. I'm northeast of Baltimore. But I'm in Maryland, so yeah. I'm originally from Ohio, though. Glad I don't live there. I don't really like Ohio. Found it funny the guys didn't react to slowly sinking while following her. Yeah, and that's a good point, Heather. It's kind of like they were in a trance, Which, like some species of insect, animal, whatever, they could be anesthetized to a degree. There are creatures that sedate their prey, so maybe that's kind of what was at play there. Zombie Savini wasn't very nice when I met him at a con. Made me super sad. Yeah, well, and that is a good point is when you're excited to meet someone and they're not nice, they don't live up to or even close to what you would want, that is really disappointing and tough. That's kind of why I, you know, felt very happy when I was watching the Scream Queen My Nightmare on Elm Street documentary because Mark Patton in that was talking about how he knows how important it is for fans when they meet him at a convention because they've built him up as something in their mind and he may be their favorite character, so when they meet him they want it to be special, they want him to be nice, so he wants to be able to deliver that for those people because it's a one-time thing potentially. And so he has so much respect for that, and I was like, that's awesome. Like, those are the types of people you like to meet at conventions, the people who, like, they get it, like they understand the fandom and they know that because of that fandom they're able to keep making a living basically. Like, some of these people who go to cons and do autographs, they can make a good living off of that. That's why you keep seeing them at the cons. That's what it looks like. Oh wait, I skipped ahead. They were under her spell at the point. Yeah, zombie. That's what I was talking about. That, yeah, they were potentially like under spell. They were anesthetized. Whatever it ends up being. Speaking of Tom Savini, I saw Maniac recently. I dug that movie. Oh, nice, Marshall. I love Maniac. I think Maniac's really, really good. A lot of people talk about when they talk about like disturbing older films, a lot of people talk about Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is disturbing, but I think Maniac is more disturbing. It's very disturbing, but it's a really interesting, really well made character piece that is just it's nuts. It's uncomfortable. Um, that's what it looks like. I thought that part was in their head, Heather, as if they were hallucinating that. And that's possible too, Uncle Pete. There's so much to interpret with those scenes. Right, yeah. And I think that was kind of one of the points with Jonathan Glazer. He was just trying to leave it open to interpretation. Sorry, I'm going to move this a little bit. See if that messes with the lighting any. Yeah, it was probably the third day, so maybe he was over it by then. Yeah, you don't know. I mean, I know for me it would be kind of tough to just meet people continually. That could be, I just thought they wanted sex that bad they didn't notice they were sinking. That's also possible, Heather. I mean, some people become very oblivious when they're focused on one thing, especially when something down there is guiding it. I know, been there. Um, Enjoyed this movie a lot more than The Lodge. That movie was awful to me. 0 out of 5 stars. Zero, really? You hated The Lodge, Marshall? It is slow. Although Under the Skin is slow too. Okay. But yeah, I mean, is what it is. Everyone's got their opinions on that stuff. Oh, Blue Room, what's up? How are you? How you doing? It looks like we're getting close to kind of wrapping things up on Under the Skin, but please throw out anything you want to talk about Blue Room with Under the Skin. As a man, even with a young woman as attractive as Scarlett in front of me, I think I know I was walking into water. Well, yeah, yeah, me too, Uncle Pete. But you never know. The people that make livings off the cons, Kane Hodder, he's always at them. Yeah, and Kane Hodder's a nice guy from what I hear, although he actually chokes people, so you could tell in the movie The Burning that Savini did the effects. Oh, Savini does do the effects in The Burning? I didn't know that. I probably would have I would probably have found that out eventually when I did the research for it, but not at that point yet. Henry is a chilling movie. Oh, yeah, I mean it is, but like I was saying, like I feel like Maniac is even more so. It gets inside of um, the mind of the killer more, I feel like, than Henry does. Maniac was crazy. Don't even know if movies like that can even be made anymore with today's climate. Yeah, I don't know, Kenny. Well, from what I hear, the house that Jack built is, I mean, I haven't watched it, but from what I hear about it, that is something that's even next level. So, Heather's met Kane. I just die to. Oh, zombie. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I've seen him at conventions before. I just never, because the problem is every time I go to a convention, I have like my list, and there's always too many people on the list. So then I kind of set how much money I'm willing to spend, and then I kind of rank who I want to meet, and then I'll kind of go for who I can down the list and pay for. But then also, if people have too big of lines at certain times, I'm just gonna pass on it. Like I almost met, really wanted to meet Matthew Lillard, and I was in line for him for a while, but his line was so slow, and then he went on a break, and he was going to be on break for like an hour and a half, and I'm like, I can't keep waiting for this. Like it's just not worth it anymore. So I was thinking the same thing about The Burning, Kenny. That movie would never be made today. The dialogue was so bad. Well, there's bad dialogue now, though. Yes, he does actually choke you. Yeah, that's what I've heard, Heather. I don't know if I would want to do that, though. I don't know if I'd be into that. Most important part, Scarlett did not use a body double. I wouldn't say it's the most important part. It's interesting because even though some people can view it that way, I feel like that's not a very sexual scene. Like, it is because of how sleek and stylish it looks, but I feel like it's the context, it doesn't feel very sexual. What a disrespect to the goat horror movie, The Thing, being played in the lodge. Then the babysitter saying, "Can we watch something else?" Bro, I'm done ranting. Hey, I get it, Marshall. There are certain movies that just set me off, so I get it. I get it. For me, The Lodge was not one of them. I actually enjoyed The Lodge, but there were some things I definitely would have changed about that movie, and some of the stuff was not very realistic to me either, but yeah, I get you. Certain movies just drive me nuts. Kane chokes you, damn, just like the WWE wrestler. Yeah. Which, by the way, Marshall, this is kind of funny. I went to a convention where Kane, the guy who played the wrestler Kane, he was there, and next to him at another the next booth was Steve Guttenberg, and the two of them were like, they didn't have lines at the moment, so they were just like standing between the tables talking, and it was weird to see Kane at like this height and Steve Guttenberg at like this height talking to each other. It was just a weird thing. Cool though. Oh, the opening scene. Zombie, what opening scene were you? What are you talking about in reference to? The Lodge, maybe? I need to start the grill. Can you please go over the next films, please? The next films? Oh, the next films for us to watch, you mean? Was Scarlett undressing Scarlett in that first scene, by the way? That's a good question, Zombie. I don't know. It looked like some kind of like nameless human. So what I took that as being is that she was kind of taking the appearance of that person. So in a way, yes, Scarlett taking on Scarlett. But I wasn't 100% sure on that one. In the beginning, there was creation. Alien is created in man's image. That's a good, yeah. Blue Room, yeah. Good point there. Yes, gotcha. Okay, all right, Uncle Pete. Yeah. Before we talk about Brain Dead or Dead Alive, whatever you want to call it, I just want to hear from you guys real quick. Are you okay with me just setting the two movies for each of the next two live streams? Are you okay with that? Because I have an idea. The first one, the one that would be for the next one, which would be... why is my phone not working? The 18th, Saturday, July 18th. That one is for a very specific purpose, to help someone out, which sounds weird, but it is. And then after that, it's something I want and something Marshall wants. Marshall, you will know what that is, I'm sure. Zombie, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it could. Like I'm saying, like, that's just my idea. Okay. So people are alright with that. So my ideas were, I had someone comment on an old review video that I put out there for Slumber Party Massacre 2. They are someone who is very, very, very attached to that movie. They grew up loving that movie when they were really young. Her name is Reckless Renee. That's what she goes by on YouTube. And so she reached out to me and she said, you know, I've been looking for people who are analyzing this film on a deeper level. And I want to know if someone can do a deep dive. So I saw you did a review on it. And I wanted to see if you might be able to go deeper. So I kind of said, maybe I can throw this out to my live stream crew, and amongst all of us, I think we could do a really good job picking that movie apart. So that said, I had also already had on my list, I want to cover Slumber Party Massacre, the first one, because I love that movie. So what do you guys think about doing Slumber Party Massacre and Slumber Party Massacre 2 for the next live stream? And then Reckless Renee said that she would show up for the live stream to get that information. Or if she's not able to, she would just watch it after the fact. Is that the one with the guitar guy? Yes, Zombie. That is the one with the guitar guy. Full disclosure, I did not like that movie when I first saw it. Slumber Party Massacre 2, that is. But I'm down to watch it again, especially if I'm doing it like double feature style. Because I also kind of think it would be cool to see if there are really much of, like, if there are connections between the two films. Because as I remember it now, they didn't feel that connected to me. I'm down with that. Okay, Kenny. Love it. Okay, cool. Uncle Pete. Yas. Cool, Zombie. Alright. I'll watch the Slumber movies. It will be my first time watching them. Oh, Marshall. Alright. Listen. I think Slumber Party Massacre, the first one, is a lot of fun. I really like that film. I did not like the second one, but I know a lot of people who really like that second one. So you might like that as well. So should be some interesting talk, especially the second one. Because there is some stuff that I'm kind of confused about in that film. Because it's a little confusing. God, that guy loved playing that part. Yeah, it definitely seemed like he loved playing that part. I think I have a set of all three somewhere. Ooh. Alright, now. Alright, Blue Room's in. Oh my goodness, Heather. Alright. I was about to watch the Slumber Party movie just recently. Perfect, Kenny. Then we'll do it. All about it works out for me. Cool. So then, the movies that I want to do for the live stream after that, which would be August 1st, Saturday, August 1st, I wanted to do Marshall's recommendation of The New Invisible Man, because I've been meaning to get to that. Marshall says that it would be a really good one to cover on this, and some other people I think said as well. So I'm all for that. Let's do The Invisible Man. And for the second one, I want to do the film Mausoleum, which is on Shudder right now. And that film is so bad, it's awesome. It is terrible and fun, and I think it would be fun to do that as the kind of second one, because I have a feeling that The Invisible Man's going to be more a serious, in-depth, picking apart type thing. And then Mausoleum, we can all just kind of laugh and say, wasn't this great? Wasn't that great? Because it is... Mausoleum is something. That movie's something. I laughed out loud quite a few times when I was watching it, and not because I was supposed to laugh. Yep, stay brutal, Uncle Pete. Keep it brutal, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing everything. Really appreciate that. If I'm not back to work, I will definitely be there. Okay. Got it. Awesome, Zombie. Peace, Uncle Pete. Yep. Invisible Man was fun. Last movie I saw in theaters, sadly. Yeah, that is sad. I don't even remember what the last movie was in theaters that I saw. I don't remember. Maybe in a Studio Ghibli film. I do like those. Have you ever seen 13 Seconds? No. I don't think I've... It sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm not familiar with it, really. It's so bad that it's just painful. Ooh, well, that sounds like I probably need to see that. Oh yeah, thanks for the input, Carlin. Yes, you got it. Work? Don't be saying that four-letter word. Don't. Nice. Hit over 1,030 subscribers. Nice, Blue Room. Good job, man. Hey, you can start making money from YouTube now. Do it. Do it up. Okay, so now so Slumber Party Massacre, Slumber Party Massacre 2 for the next one. Then after that, Invisible Man and Mausoleum. Right, we'll do it. So now let's talk about Dead Alive or Brain Dead, whatever you prefer to call it. I'll let you guys kind of lead off with where you want to start talking about the film. But the first thing I'll say is it had been a long time since I had watched that film. I'm talking over 10 years since I had last watched it. And it was cool to go back. It was really cool to go back to that film. It is so quirky. It is such a unique film. It is so weird. It is so quirky. And it's in the way the music is, the way it's shot, the way it's acted, how balls to the wall it is with the practical effects and the gore gags, and how consistent that is. That's the other big thing. Like, I can't remember another movie I've seen that does as much gore and as much practical effects stuff for almost the entire run time of the film. It's impressive still. Do not eat while watching Brain Dead. I could see that, Kenny, but me personally, like, when I know it's fake like that, I find it more entertaining and funny, so I can eat no problem. There are certain things, though, I see in film that I'm just like, yeah, I feel a little queasy. I did watch a film today, a screener for the movie The Beach House, which is coming out on Shudder. It's a Shudder original this coming Thursday. And there's something in that that is a particular thing that makes my skin crawl. So that was one of those moments I was like, ugh. So just know that. Did anyone mention that Scarlett's scene where she tripped and fell wasn't staged? You mean in the woods, blue room? Oh, I'm sorry, John. Sorry, I'm calling you John now, right? Um, yeah, is that what you're talking about when she tripped and fell in the woods towards the end where she was being chased? Because if that, I mean, no one brought up anything about that not being staged. I love the King Kong reference in the beginning. Oh yeah, the Skull Island thing. Well, and I have a review coming out for Dead Alive. It's not coming out tomorrow. I'm putting it out next weekend because tomorrow I'm putting out my review for the Tremors TV series to kind of cap off all my Tremor stuff. But yeah, that's the starting on Skull Island where he shot that in Dead Alive. That's also the scene for the Path of the Dead in the Return of the King, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. So he reused that shooting spot, which is cool. Um, it's been ages since I saw Brain Dead, but Jackson's beginning trilogy has a special place in my heart. Yeah, I dig it there, Zombie. I dig it. It's like he was two different directors, obviously. Everything, like, pre-big budget is one particular persona of his, and it comes across on the screen. And then everything, once he got big budget, feels very, very different. It feels more like a lot of other people. I feel like he kind of lost his unique voice when he got to big budget. But that's kind of what Hollywood does to directors. It's like, execute our vision, not your vision. Dead Alive was a simple love story, almost Disney-like. Yeah, I totally agree with that, John. It is very simple. It's very simple. I would argue that we don't need the whole part about his mother drowning his father because it comes in way too late and it doesn't really matter that much based off of everything else that's going on in the film. But, I didn't have a chance to see Dead Alive. I'll definitely watch it, though. Oh, Marshall, you're in for a treat when you do watch Dead Alive because it is just crazy. With their gore gags, it just keeps being upped and upped and upped and upped. Like, when I was watching it, like, I knew there was a lot to it, gore-wise and practical effects-wise, but I just kept being like, oh my god, I forgot that it just keeps one-upping itself consistently. And it's, like, slapsticky. Like, it becomes so comedic. And it's through the music, through the acting, through the way that it's shot. Because a lot of the interesting camera angles, they use these weird camera angles, and they go in, like, really close on the faces of the characters. It's funny. No, in the city, where the city folk helped her up. Oh, really, John? Okay. Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah, I was looking into Tremors. So many of them. Kenny, Tremors. If it's like dumb fun. It's like it's light. It's fun. I would say for the Tremors movies, 1, 2, and 3 are good, and then 5 is good. 4 and 6 not so much. And this, if you like 1 through 3, then the Tremors TV show is up your alley. Just know that. No way, that's an awesome fact. This Lord of the Rings trilogy was epic. Yeah, his Lord of the Rings trilogy it was good. I remember watching those movies as they were coming out when I was in college and loving it. Loved In Bad Taste where he played the two characters. Gotta be honest, I have not yet seen Bad Taste. I have seen Meet the Feebles, though. I have seen Heavenly Creatures. I don't like that. There's so much crying in Heavenly Creatures. But Jackson, that is. Got it. The movie is balls to the wall, though. He seriously just goes for it. Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, the amount of work, the amount of time that had to go into that film, it's a clear labor of love to have made that. Like, how many people have the time, the resources, the patience, the creativity to pull that off? It's like I'm saying, like, it's still a very unique film, because I feel like there isn't anything else that's all that much like it. Weirdly enough, the shirt I happen to be wearing right now, I feel like I saw a lot of Evil Dead inspiration in Dead Alive, but amped up to like 11. Like, he took it to that next level. He made it more comedic. He made it more ridiculous. He did so much more physically and gore-wise, practical effects. Did anyone notice Peter Jackson had a cameo? He did? I did not. I totally did not. Where was his cameo? Maybe he was influenced by the Evil Dead by any chance. Yeah, I really think that he was influenced by Evil Dead. It was 11 years before Dead Alive came out. So there was enough time. I guarantee you he had seen that film, Evil Dead. There was a lot of similarity there, in my opinion. Thanks for the input on Tremors. You got it, Kenny. I had seen, prior to me watching all the Tremors movies and the TV show, I had only seen the first movie, and I was like, it's fun. It's a good time. I kind of fell in love with the series, to be honest. When I went through it and was just like, I'm going to watch these movies, even if they're bad, and do reviews on them. It holds a special place in my heart right now, to be honest. And once I got done watching all the episodes of the TV series, I was like legitimately kind of sad. I'm like, what Tremors am I going to watch now? It's fun. I like it. I bought a Tremors shirt recently, too. You'll see that on one of my videos at some point. Oh, you gotta watch Bad Taste. It's my favorite of the three. Ooh, really? Zombie. All right. I mean, Bad Taste is one of those films that it's been in my list of movies I have to watch and really want to get to, but that list is like 500 films or so, so it's slow moving, and movies keep getting added. Unfortunately and fortunately. So, like, until I die, I'm gonna have more than enough films that I need to watch. So, I'm just sad that when I do die, there will still be films on that list. But I'm going to try my best while I'm around. Ha ha ha, wow, you predicted my next episode. I just noticed your shirt. No way. Yeah. Yeah. Our next question. I said episode. Next question, yeah. He played The Undertaker's assistant. Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah. I can see that now. That makes sense. I just looked it up, Kenny Chung. I had no idea. Yeah. Wow. Oh, there's my water. It's one of my comfort movies. Whenever I get sick, gotta watch Bad Taste. Wow. That is all right. I mean, that's high praise. One of my comfort movies. Hackers. It's not horror or anything, but Hackers. Man, I just love Hackers so much. Things are getting crazy in Return of the Living Dead. Got that half body on the table, writhing around. That looks so good. That is so good. Yeah, gotta watch Bad Taste. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll get to it eventually. I just have so many movies that I need to get to. Jackson did lots of cameos in his films. I remember seeing him in some other ones. I can't remember which ones, but I just have like this memory of image. Remember seeing images of him. Peter Jackson. The old lady? Oh man. Yeah, yeah, the old lady. Yep. Let me look. Let me see if I can let you guys know what films am I going to be watching soon and doing reviews on. Well, I got that review for The Beach House coming out, that's for sure. I have a review for Mausoleum, which we're all going to do. I am going to be watching Dogtooth at some point. That's a Yorgos Lanthimos film, the guy who did Killing of a Sacred Deer, because that's still at the moment on Shudder. So I'll get to that. The Burning, like I was talking about, I want to do The Burning real bad. I also want to do reviews on all three of the Sleepaway Camp films because they're on Shudder at the moment, and then I also want to do reviews of all three of the Maniac Cop films because they're going to be on Shudder this month. And I've never seen any of the Maniac Cop films, and a lot of people have told me you got to see those films. At least, I think people said Maniac Cop 2 is maybe their favorite. I've never seen them before, so I don't know. Love that zombie. Yeah, that zombie it's an awesome zombie, for sure. Really well done. Executed perfectly, almost. Okay, so what else to say about Dead Alive? One of the other things with Dead Alive, they're not just pushing the envelope, or Peter Jackson wasn't just pushing the envelope on something like the amount of gore and the way he did the gore, but he did the deaths and all the gore in different ways. Like, the creativity just kept going and going and going and going. It's like, how many ways can you kill someone? How many ways can you kill a zombie? But they just kept coming up with new stuff, new stuff, new stuff. So the creativity was amazing in that. But also just, like, pushing it to, like, ridiculous levels, too. Like, who else had zombie sex in a movie? Like, who was gonna do that? When the character, Lionel, I don't know, I thought Liam. Lionel, when he goes into the room and the zombie priest is having sex with the zombie nurse, like, who saw that coming? And since then, how many movies have had zombie sex in them? I can't think of any, to be honest. He just did all sorts of stuff. The other thing is, well, and I like how cartoonish it is. I know I already kind of said something about it being, like, over-the-top slapsticky comedy. It's so cartoonish, but it's gross and cartoonish and horrific all at the same time. So it's just this, it's quirky. It's this weird mix that just works. And there's such terrible, horrific, gross stuff happening. But for me, the experience I get because of the way it's done, I don't feel any of those things other than just fun and enjoyment. Maybe that says something about me. I don't know. That was crazy and funny scene. I agree. Yeah, Kenny. That scene was. Or how about one of the scenes that sticks out in my head that I really like too is when he's feeding. I think it is the nurse where he pops her head backwards, and so it's just like hanging off like a flap, and he just like puts food down her throat hole. That was pretty funny. And it looked good. And also, it kind of creeps me out a little bit because, like, weird baby things creep me out. But the zombie baby, when it's, like, running around after people, is, like, a weird, creepy moment. But I also think it's really funny when he catches him, when Lionel catches him and he's, like, beating the piss out of him. That's particularly funny to me. And then, what else? There are a few other really good when the embalming fluid was flying out of Lionel's mother, and then I think it was a funeral director came in and he's just like, he was putting the eyeballs back in place where he just like literally places his two fingers on the eyeballs and goes like that to tap them in. It's just such a weird thing, but it's funny. It works. It's just such a unique film. I just kept thinking that same thing as I was watching the film. I was like, it's just so unique. It's so unique. Like, I don't know any other movies like this, really. There are other movies that have been inspired by it. Namely, Simon Pegg apparently said that parts of, or his impetus for doing Shaun of the Dead and parts of Shaun of the Dead are inspired by Dead Alive, and you can kind of see that. But you just can't. I can't think of any movies that tried to be like Dead Alive because it's just like I don't think you can really. or you can, but it would take a lot. Do you know where Brain Dead is streaming? Um, you can find it on YouTube. I mean, it's not legally on YouTube, but it's on YouTube. That's not where I watched it. I actually got it out through the Netflix DVD service. Yes, I still do that. That's because they have a lot of good old horror DVDs. Plus, I don't need Blu-ray. I'm fine. Haha, yeah, very campy. That was funny as hell too. Yeah. It seems like comedy horror is not really in fashion. It's more like haunted house or supernatural genres. Kenny, yeah, although I think we're gonna start hitting more of the comedy horror because consider this: we had Satanic Panic come out, Scare Package just came out on Shudder. There was another one that's coming out. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but there's another horror comedy coming that's new. And then I was just reading an article the other day. One of the writers from Behind the Mask, the Rise of Leslie Vernon, and the guy who directed Tucker and Dale versus Evil are teaming up to make a horror comedy for Netflix. And that's being worked on at the moment. And it's going to be called The Hills Have Eyes for You, something like that. I think that's the title. Oh, and by the way, on the topic of Tucker and Dale versus Evil and that director, if you like Tucker and Dale versus Evil, check out the movie Little Evil. Same guy who did Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It's on Netflix. It is funny and it has Adam Scott in the lead role. It's a good one. Trust me. I enjoy that film. It's funny. You can find it on my channel. Yeah, there you go. But yes, also Kenny, yes, I do feel like there has been a lot of haunted house and supernatural stuff, which I don't like those types of movies. Typically, I will give them a shot, but typically I'm not a big fan. Just not my thing. Yeah, you probably might have to rent it somewhere or DVD service. I still have that service as well, Carlin. Yes, Heather. I don't know anyone else who still has that service, Heather. It's just you and I, as far as I know. They're just keeping it going just for the two of us. Netflix DVD, haha. I know, Marshall. Like, most people react like, Netflix DVD, why are you still doing that? And actually, a lot of people say, oh, that's still happening? Yeah, it's still happening. I get so much good stuff from there that I can't find streaming. I ended up holding on to movies for ages. I wish I could trust myself to return them. Yeah, that was a problem for some people, Zombie. DVD, oh man, been a while since I popped in one. Kenny, man, I own a lot of DVDs, so I still watch DVDs. Other than the Netflix DVD service. That is too cute. The Hills Have Eyes for You. Yeah, right? That's a good title. Also, Carlin, great review for Summer of '84. It's in my top 20 favorite films. Marshall, I saw that comment you made. I was so happy when you made that comment saying that you love Summer of '84. That movie is very, very underappreciated. I think it's an awesome film. I was also really happy when I put out my review. I tweeted it out, and on Twitter, the writer-director of Summer of '84 liked my tweet. So I felt validated at that point. I was like, thank you very much. That's not the first time that's happened with one of my reviews, but I felt particularly good about it for that because I really like that movie, and I want more people to like it. Like, I talk to people about it all the time, and that's part of the reason that I did a review for it is because I wanted to throw it out there, see if I could get some other people interested and say, oh, what's this? Because a lot of people don't even know, well, they haven't heard of it, and they don't know it's on Shudder. Going to check out Summer of '84 and then your review. Cool, Kenny. It's fun. I really enjoyed that film. Really well done. Slumber Party Massacre 1 and 2 for the 18th? Yes, John. Yes. I am, and I'm ready. I'm so ready for that. It's going to be fun. I've actually been meaning to watch Slumber Party Massacre again, especially because I haven't watched the Blu-ray I got of it since I bought it a few months ago. I've been meaning to, so now I'm going to do it. Yeah, I miss the DVD days when I would rent movies at Blockbuster, the good old days. Yeah, Kenny. I used to have so much fun, and I think back to those days all the time now. My Friday nights, my big Friday nights when I wasn't at college, when I was home, is me either by myself or with my buddies going to Blockbuster, walking around, looking at all the movies, and just like picking out a few things and getting excited on your drive home. Like, oh man, I can't wait to watch these movies. And then when you go back, throwing them in the return box and then starting it all again and being like, oh, what am I going to find now? It's always so much fun. If you guys haven't watched Becky, do so. I can't recommend it enough. Oh, cool, Heather. I'd seen a trailer for it and it looked really good. I was very intrigued because I like Kevin James, and Kevin James in a role like that is crazy, but I really wanted to see what he would do with that role, and I was really hoping that he would nail it so he can kind of have another life in film. That's dope, Carlin. I'm hoping for a summer of '85, or maybe even a prequel, summer of '83. Yeah, I think a prequel. I know I said it in my review, but I think a prequel would be really cool to get at least the backstory on Mackie. I think that'd be really interesting. Becky, gonna look it up. Doesn't ring a bell. Becky, the one with Kevin James. Kevin James. Checked out the synopsis for Becky. Sounds interesting. Yeah, it does. Saw that red box. I'm glad Kevin is stretching his legs. Yeah, and that kind of, first of all, horror genre is awesome because I personally just think that the horror genre has the most creativity and the most leeway in its stories. But the other thing is, it's a place that actors can go after other genres seem to be done with them. And you might see that with someone like Kevin James. You have definitely seen that with someone like Nicolas Cage. All of a sudden, Nicolas Cage is like all about doing horror films because it seems like every other genre is done with him. But the horror community is just like, yes, come to us, Nicolas Cage. With all your corny acting, come to us. I mean, think about this. Mandy, Color Out of Space, Mom and Dad. By the way, Mom and Dad is, I think, still streaming on Hulu at the moment. That film is fun. That is a good film. I enjoyed it. I didn't do a review of it, but I may at some point. Yep. All right. We can still talk about some other things if you guys have it, but anything else about Dead Alive? And there's not like a ton to talk about with it, because like we talked about, it's a very simple story. The only other thing I'll say about it at the moment that I wanted to say was the uncle, that jerk uncle who shows up of Lionel's. I did not see it coming that he would be like this unbelievable badass dealing with the zombies. And that was cool. It was fun. The Wicker Man was a comedy to you? Okay. I assume you mean, yeah, the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man. Yeah, the one with Nick Cage. Kenny, have you watched the original Wicker Man? I want to see your response to that. Have you watched the original Wicker Man? Because if you haven't, I love it. I haven't watched Wicker Man and Dad yet. I want to, though. I haven't seen the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man, mainly because what I've heard of it, it doesn't sound like it's something I need to see. So it's one of those things that I'm like, I'll maybe eventually get to it. I'm not rushing. But Mom and Dad is fun. I would recommend that. The bee scene. Yeah, everyone talks about the bee scene. Zombie. Everyone. Oh, yeah, the uncle. Yeah, the kung fu. Yeah. Well, the other thing, yeah, that makes me think of, Kenny, is the priest when he was like, I kick ass for the Lord, and then just started like kicking off zombie heads and arms and legs. That's so funny to me. I love that moment. Pretty fun. That's got Gregory Peck in it, I think. Is that Gregory Peck? I don't know. Maybe. Guess I did not see that ending coming. It was brilliant. Oh, Tarman. In the end credits. Return of the Living Dead's over. That's such a fun movie. I'll watch that again. 1, 2, and 3 were fun. I haven't watched the other ones, but at some point I think I will. Nicolas Cage is doing a new horror movie called Wally's Wonderland. It's animatronic puppets coming alive. Oh my gosh. Kind of the Five Nights at Freddy I'm hyped for. Oh my gosh. Marshall, I didn't know about that, and that that sounds great. Like, it sounds so absurd that like only Nicolas Cage could be in that. I mean, really. That sounds fun. I'm down. The zombie priest was the father of the zombie baby. Yep. Yeah, John. That was so funny. That zombie baby's so creepy. Which movie has Gregory Peck in it? Oh, hey, Terry. We haven't seen you here before, Terry Kimmel. Welcome. Welcome. The Omen. Yeah, The Omen does have him in it. I was wrong, Terry. I thought the original Wicker Man had Peck in it. The original Wicker Man has an amazing Christopher Lee in it. Actually, let me solve this. Let me solve it. Ingrid Bergman? I think she's in that as well. Good to see you here, Terry. Oh, is this another one of your buddies, Heather? I just got here from somewhere four-lettered. Because you can't say that around Heather. I get it, Terry. I get that. We should all take note. We can't say that four-letter word. Wicker Man. I want to do a review of the old Wicker Man at some point. Edward Woodward? Yeah. Oh, he's the sergeant. Christopher Lee. Yeah. Ingrid Pitt. I didn't say Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid Pitt is in that. That's right. Okay. Yeah, no Gregory Peck, though. No. I know, Heather, but I just got here, so I have no clue what movie you're talking about. Actually, we finished talking about Under the Skin. We're at the very tail end. I think we may have talked about everything we were going to about Dead Alive. So we're kind of in the portion of the live stream where it's like, bring up what you want to talk about. Marshall just brought up a very interesting sounding Nicolas Cage movie that's going to be coming out with animatronic puppets that come to life. That sounds fun. So yeah, kind of whatever. Yeah, Christopher Lee's performance was amazing. He really seemed like a crazy cult leader. Yeah, Kenny. That was the first movie I had ever seen with like me knowing who Christopher Lee was. And when I watched that film, I was just like, oh my gosh, that performance, so awesome. And that just gave me so much respect for Christopher Lee. It's just kind of like the first great performance that I ever experienced of Vincent Price was the movie Scream and Scream Again. Awesome. That's so much fun. He's so great. Yeah, we just have a free-flowing combo. Yeah, basically. So yeah, whatever anyone wants to talk about. But, if people don't have anything else to talk about, we can then just end the stream. That's fine as well. Yes, Edward Woodward is the lead in the original and the original Equalizer on TV. Okay, nice. Nice to know, Terry. Thank you. We like tidbits of knowledge on this. Yeah, I was way off. Hey, it happens. Happens all the time. I've been off about things before. Is it just me, or do older movies just have much creepier vibes? Some, yeah. I do think some of them do. I think a lot of the times it kind of has to do with who the film is geared towards. Nowadays, there are a lot of horror movies that are being geared towards a much younger audience, and that's not necessarily going to be as scary or as engaging for people who are older. Hey, Uncle Pete returned. What's up? How are the steaks? Yes, Kenny, that's why I love the original Texas Chainsaw, because it's grainy. Yeah, it's gritty, it's graining. grainy Texas Chainsaw. It feels raw, and it's very disturbing. Obviously, one of the things that was interesting, I forget who was talking about it. It may have been Mick Garris on his podcast Postmortem, but he was talking about, I think it was him talking about it. There's a people think that there's actual like a bunch of gore and that they show a lot of the kill scenes in Texas Chainsaw, but they don't. They never did. It's just people's minds, because it was so disturbing and such a scary film at the time. People's minds just fill that in, which I found interesting. Steaks turned out perfect. Nice. Like a nice steak. I don't eat steak much, but when I do, I enjoy it quite a bit. What do you think of watching a movie with Joe Bob Briggs? Would you rather watch the movie first and then check it out with Joe Bob? Okay, so Kenny, the Joe Bob thing, one of my rules is I try not to do reviews on movies that Joe Bob has done, because I feel like a lot of the audience who might watch my reviews have already seen it. They've already seen Joe Bob. So someone's already talked about the film a bunch. So I want to present films typically that, maybe someone hasn't put out there in that way. Doesn't mean I don't do it. From time to time I do, and there actually have been times where I'll do a review, and then he has it on his show. So I'm great with the next selection of movies. Very good, Uncle Pete. Just in purposes of watching a movie and not getting interrupted. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Do I like the interjection of someone talking? There's good and bad with it for me. I like it because I really like it with the films that are not serious. The ones that he presents that are just funny and dumb. Like, I just watched his one that he did for Hell Comes to Frogtown last night. That's a prime example. Like, I don't need to get immersed in that film. I don't need to really be feeling it the whole time I'm watching it. And it's fun when it goes back to him and he's giving all this funny information about the behind the scenes of the film and his kind of feelings on it. So with those types of films, I'm fine. With ones that I really like want to watch for the first time and get immersed in, like when I watched his one for A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, it does kind of mess up the flow for me. So I'm not as focused as I want to be necessarily on the film. So that's kind of the good and bad for me with the whole Joe Bob thing. But overall, I like it. Yeah, the part where she goes on the hook in Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an excellent example of the audience filling in the actual violence. Yeah, and it's because it's very strongly insinuated, obviously, and there's noise. There's a noise that they associate with that, so they don't show it. But I think when people hear it, it fills that image in their head, which is crazy. I haven't seen Joe Bob's latest show. I mean to, though. It's fun. If you like Joe Bob stuff, it's fun. I know there are people out there who don't, and that's fine as well, but I enjoy it. It's been all right. I love the one that he did recently for Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, because I love that movie, and Doug Bradley was on it as a guest talking, and Ashley Lawrence, but I could listen to Doug Bradley talk all freaking day, and the stuff that he talks about is so great. I've met him a few times, and it's always a joy. Always a joy. The hook scene is amazing, Terry. Truly terrifying. Oh, yeah. He can go on a bit too long at times, but I do like watching him. Yeah, I agree with that, Heather. There have definitely been times where I'm watching, and, he just keeps going on something, and I'm just like, okay, I was done with this, like, minutes ago. Can we just move on? But I don't feel like that happens a lot for me. And he's a human, he's not always going to nail it all the time. Because I know there's some people out there who like big time Joe Bob fans, and then when he does a movie that they don't really like, or he goes on rants that he doesn't like, then they get like real pissy about it. They're just like, that episode wasn't very good. And it's like, how many episodes has he done? It's not going to be amazing every single time necessarily. It's hard to continually hit the same level. Yeah, I enjoy him, but sometimes he can go on a rant for like 10 minutes or longer at times. Kenny, yeah. Only watched Hell Comes to Frogtown because it was on the drive-in. Watched it yesterday. Yeah, that movie. I had heard of that movie prior. Uh, it was fun. I'm glad I've seen it now. You make valid points. Thanks, Carlin. Oh, well, thank you, Kenny. I try to make valid points. I just always hope that someone out there listening thinks they're also valid. To me, they seem valid. Summer Party Massacre 1 and 2 is on Shudder. Yes, it is. Oh, I should have said that. Did I? I don't think I said that. But yes, thank you, John, for putting that out there. Because if I didn't say it, it needed to be said. I also saw they have sleepaway camps too. Yeah, Marshall, the sleepaway camps. Yes, I wanna watch all three of those again. Excited for it. Going to Hobbit. Not seeing Gretel and Hansel. Someone brought it up on our last live stream, and I do need to check it out at some point. I heard good things. I hear it's more artsy rather than horror. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That actually, hearing that zombie, that actually makes me more interested in seeing it because I like that kind of artsy side of horror. Obviously, since we covered Under the Skin, it's got a lot of artsy aspect to it. Oh, and speaking of that, has anyone out there seen Velvet Buzzsaw? Because I heard a lot of people talk some shit about Velvet Buzzsaw. I think it's still on. It might still be on Netflix. I don't know. But with Jake Gyllenhaal, I like that movie. I thought it was good. It does have like a kind of artsy component to it, and I think some people thought it was a little too hoity-toity of a horror film, but I thought it was pretty good. I would recommend it. Actually, I mean, I have my Xbox right here. I can just jump over to Netflix and see if it's on there. Figure it out. I've never watched the Joe Bob Drive-In, so there are breaks in the film. That's a case way to watch a movie. If watching for the first time, heck no. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that, Terry, for sure. Because, like I was saying, it definitely can break up the flow of the film. And there's some films like you have to stay involved. You have to stay invested. And taking a break, stepping away from it, just messes up the experience for sure. Let me see if Velvet Buzzsaw's on here. Oops. Oh yeah, yep. Oh, because it's a Netflix original. There you go. It's a Netflix show. Yeah, or movie. Yeah, Velvet Buzzsaw is on Netflix. I would recommend it, you guys. I enjoyed it. It's not like the most amazing movie, but I thought it was good. Terry, yes on Velvet Buzzsaw. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I liked it. Nice. Dawn, Terry, and me talked about it once. Maybe we can talk about it again for the live stream at some point. It's a little artsy. Yeah, it is. I heard people liked it too. I just heard a lot of people pissing and moaning about Velvet Buzzsaw being like, it's not that good. I'm like, I think though that one was actually my particular choice for that review. Okay, nice. But the movie critics trashed it. Oh, did they? Yeah. Thought it was pretty cool. There's some conceits about how these people see these paintings during the film, but the overall vibe was cool, and I thought the ending was pretty cool. Yeah. And how about the scene with that, like, big orb that the person sticks their arm in? That was a fun scene. May I recommend a Hong Kong horror film called The Eight Immortals Restaurant? Sure, yeah. The Untold Story. It's from 1993. That movie freaked me out. Yeah, put it on a list here. Thank you, Gloin. I'm always down for recommendations, and I do the subtitle film pretty constantly. Let me put this on here somewhere. It is The Eight Immortals Restaurant, The Untold Story. Got it. Thank you. Oh, there go fireworks. Oh, thanks, Gloin. I haven't heard that one. Yeah. Just hoping my cat doesn't wake up. If you guys wanted to see. That's my cat. Part of her, at least. How was your 4th of July, Carlin? Lots of barbecue? No barbecue, actually, Kenny. I got just like had chicken salad on lettuce, and from an Italian restaurant, got a really good Italian cold cut with fries, and that was really good. I don't barbecue. I don't really make a whole lot of barbecue type stuff. I don't cook on the grill either. I mainly eat poultry and fish, although I do eat red meat here and there, but it's very, very rare. It's like once every 2 to 3 months. Uncle Pete, Velvet Buzzsaw's on Netflix. And it should stay there because it's one of their movies. Yeah, there was some cool stuff in Buzzsaw. The whole art scene was a unique way to take the horror film, I thought. Yeah, and that's one of the big things, Terry. That's one of the things that really drew me to that. I'm very into horror films that have a new environment to it. They go somewhere different. They have a different setting, and that was very different for me. I'd never seen them take horror to an art situation. So that's just always interesting. It opens more possibilities. It's not the same stuff you see over and over. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kenny. She sleeps a lot. I think that's the sequel to the '71 movie, The Eight Immortals. Oh, John knows his foreign films. Your favorite modern day horror directors? Ari Aster versus Robert Eggers. Okay, so The Witch and The Lighthouse versus Midsommar and Hereditary. I'm going to go Midsommar and Hereditary. I think Eggers is good. I do respect him and like him. I like both those movies. I have a review for The Lighthouse coming out next weekend, I think. Or maybe I bumped it to the weekend after that. I can't remember. But I would pick Aster. I really like Hereditary. I really like Midsommar. I'm very excited to see what Aster does next. So that's my pick, Ari Aster. Oh man, that sounds awesome. Italian food's yummy. I'm usually not so big on Italian food, but I found this one place near us that does really particularly tasty Italian food, so I'm all about that. I'm more of an Aster guy, but I gotta check out The Lighthouse. Yeah, Kenny, The Lighthouse it's very slow at first, and I was really wanting it to move faster. But once you hit like the 1 hour mark, it starts getting crazy. And it does pay off. I liked it. Lee Wanell. Marshall Lee Wanell. Okay. Now, Marshall, you have to explain your favorite Lee Wanell films. Do it. Gloin, are these 8 Immortal films available somewhere, or do you have to have to hire some video ghoul to dig it up? Yeah, Carlin Aster's movies are messed up. I wonder how his brain works. Yeah, Kenny. Well, one of the things for me about Ari Aster is that he litters the movie with clues as to what's actually going on a lot of the times. And then by the end of it, you have all these pieces of a puzzle spread out on your table, and you have to mentally put these puzzle pieces in the right sequence to figure out exactly what's going on. It was definitely like that with Hereditary. Midsommar was that way, except there was also that moment where they showed the quilt in Midsommar, and the quilt actually showed the whole movie, all the events of what was going to happen in the movie. Although when you're first watching it, you probably don't really catch that. But yeah, I just like that kind of cerebral aspect to it. Plus, he does some really ballsy things, such as in Midsummer, all the horrific, crazy stuff happens in broad daylight. Which, how often does that actually happen in horror? He goes against a lot of the grain of what we view as horror and kind of challenges it and says, you know what, this is horror too. And I really like that. Ari Aster isn't for me. I'm not too sure about his next movie. It's supposed to be a horror comedy that's 4 hours long. Whoa. Yeah, I didn't know that, Marshall. That's okay. If it's actually a horror comedy 4 hours long, I could see that not being so great, but I'll check it out just because I've liked his first two films. I found the Untold Story on Amazon released in the same year. Terry, maybe that's the one. Yeah, maybe. Carlin, the Invisible Man, and Upgrade. He also did Insidious 3. Upgrade, yeah, we talked about this. Upgrade was good. That is another movie that's it doesn't get talked about as much as it should. That's really good, especially for being as low budget as it was. They creatively got that thing done, and well, I was a fan of that. I look forward to The Invisible Man. Heard nothing but great stuff. I haven't seen the third Insidious. I've seen the first two. Not a fan of the Insidious films. Part of that being it's just not my type of subgenre. The Eight Immortals Restaurant, The Untold Story, is streaming on Amazon and Hoopla. Okay, cool. Thanks, Gloin. Excuse me. I agree, Carlin. Hereditary was better the second time I watched it. It was more enjoyable. It's intense, though. Hereditary is super intense. It's a lot to deal with. Glowing thanks. Yep. Aster loves the ugly cry and full frontal. Ben, accurate. Yes. The ugly cry and full frontal, yeah. And I think a lot of it is because it's uncomfortable. And so that's kind of an emotion that goes with horror, is making people uncomfortable. So I think Aster intentionally puts that in the film to be like, horror is uncomfortable at times, but you know what else is uncomfortable? This. Raw emotion is very uncomfortable. A lot of times it ends up being kind of sanitized in film. So when you see it in a very raw form like that, it feels uncomfortable, but it also feels more impactful. And that's why I dig it. I dig what he's doing. He's pushing against a lot of norms, and I dig it. I should check out Upgrade. Yes, Kenny, you should check out Upgrade. It's not really horror. It's more like action sci-fi, but it's fun. It's really well done. I went into it having heard some people say it's actually pretty good, and then when I actually saw it, I was like, oh, this is more than pretty good. This is nice. This is well done. And for as low budget as it is, it's an achievement. For sure. And that was Blumhouse, right, Marshall? Marshall loves Blumhouse. I just don't think I've seen enough Blumhouse for me to say I love Blumhouse. I've seen enough A24 to say I love A24, but I'm so way behind. I've only seen The Witch, and I was impressed how they went back in time and actually shot that film in 1630. Yeah, Terry, it looked that way, didn't it? Yeah, The Witch was fun. I know a lot of people hated The Witch because it's this movie where, like, you don't really know what's happening until the end. And then it reveals it, and some people are like, oh, well, that's dumb. But I loved it. I thought it was really cool. I thought it did a good job of kind of representing, at that time period, what would life have felt like with, a story like that. Because back then, like, there was a lot of lore, a lot of folklore. And to people, they didn't know, is that real or is that not real? We didn't have things like the internet or fact checking or anything like that. So there was this kind of like uncertainty of, I'm hearing this and people are saying this and people are acting this way. Is this what's really going on, or is it all BS? So the film kept you the entire time in that in between where you just didn't know, which I feel like that's what it would have been like then. Holy crap, sometimes I couldn't make out what they were saying, but I was still impressed because it sounds authentic. Agreed. I agree with you, Terry, for sure. Yeah, Florence Pugh's performance in the beginning when she finds out about her family was so emotional. Yeah, Kenny, it was. And one of the most beautiful looking and most messed up scenes in that film is the beginning when they show what happened at her parents' house, especially when they do that final zoom up to her sister with the tube and everything. Horrific. Just morbid and horrific and uncomfortable. All of that. One wrote Saw, yeah, and co-starred. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I like the Saw films, still do. I dig the first four, I will say. First one, obviously, the best. I fell in love with the first Saw movie, and gotta be honest, there's a the first Saw movie has a part in my wife and I getting together. I had watched the Saw movie and was talking about how much I loved it and how interesting it was, and she doesn't like horror films, and she even more so didn't back then. And just to have something to talk about with me and to kind of impress me, she went to the theater and saw the first Saw film. She didn't want to, she just did it to have something to talk with. So Saw is important for my marriage. Yeah, Blumhouse. That's right, Marshall. Is Nazi horror out of bounds? Have you seen Ilsa, the she-wolf of the SS? I have not seen that, Gloin, but I would like to. I've heard that it's an interesting film. Agreed, Terry. I'll check out almost any film. Almost any film. I do have limits, but True Ben, he's come so far. Carlin, if you can make a video about upcoming horror movies, old or new, that you were looking forward to watching, that would be awesome. Or we can have a discussion about it in a future live stream. Yeah, here's the thing, Kenny. Some time ago I used to look at reviews. I'm sorry, not reviews. Trailers is what I mean. I used to look at trailers and kind of project ahead like what's coming. But I don't do that anymore. I really don't pay attention to the new movies coming out anymore. I'll just kind of hear people talk about them and then I'll check them out. Nowadays, I'm just kind of looking for what's popping up on Shudder mainly because I'm getting like all their media correspondence. So, but I did see the new trailer for Candyman, and the first trailer looked good. The second trailer gets me even more excited. Yeah, Marshall, there you go. Candyman, Halloween Kills, Spiral. I haven't seen anything for Spiral. Spiral Book of Saw. Oh, that Spiral. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm interested to see that. I want to see what Chris Rock would do with that. At first, when I heard that, I was like, Chris Rock's doing like a Saw movie? That sounds so weird. But I don't know what he would do with it. I'll check it out. Yep, Jordan Peele's producing it. Candyman remake. Yeah, the Candyman remake is starting to look good. I just read an article with, what's her name? Nia DaCosta, the director of the new Candyman. Really cool interview with her. It's in Rue Morgue magazine. That gets me even more excited for it. I'm very interested to watch that when it's available. Well, I have to catch up on some of these recent films completely out of the blue. Have you seen the original Cat People and also Michael Powell's Peeping Tom? Terry, Peeping Tom's been on my list for a while. Have not seen it. I really need to. I've heard good things. Cat People, I feel like I'll maybe get to that at some point. I haven't heard great things about it. I might get to it at some point. It is on my list, but it's not high priority at the moment. Oh, damn it. Sorry. My bad. That's great to hear. Maybe these upcoming horror films will be released on VOD soon. Yeah. I would probably pay for Candyman. I think I've seen Cat People. Isn't Peeping Tom revolutionary in horror? I've heard it's iconic. Yeah, Peeping Tom, Marshall, gets cited a lot by like people who talk about influential, important movies in the horror genre. It's an older film. That's one of the reasons I've had it on my list so long. I need to check it out. It's very understandable, Carlin. What are release dates anymore? Yeah, especially now with COVID. What are release dates? Natasha Kinski. Ooh, Terry, I need to rewatch. It's no doubt been ages. Got it, Carlin. I'll check out the trailer. Do you have a Letterboxd account to share with me? Gloin, I don't. I know Heather does for sure. I think some others in the chat have Letterboxd. But I looked at Heather's Letterboxd. She has an insane amount of stuff on there. So dig into her stuff. Awesome movie database for Letterboxd. Yep. I was using Stardust for a while, like the 30-second reviews. And I was like, forget this. I'll just do YouTube. It's better. Because I could say a lot more what I wanted to say, like deep diving on films. All right. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up, you guys. I'm getting to a point where I'm tired, and I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna go spend some time with my wife, and then turn in. But this has been awesome. Really good talk about Under the Skin. Fun talk about Dead Alive, and then everything extra afterwards. So, thank you everyone for showing up for this. I really appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. All of you, Zombie Dawn, thanks for showing up. Terry, thanks for showing up. Terry Kimmel, thanks for showing up. Gloin, thanks for showing up. All my regulars, I thank you guys for showing up. And Kenny, I didn't know if you were going to come back or not, Kenny, but it's good to see you. So that's awesome. I'm glad that, we're kind of growing the family in a sense, our movie book club. So just as a reminder, Saturday, July 18th, we're going to do the live stream, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're doing Slumber Party Massacre and Slumber Party Massacre 2. And those are available for streaming on Shudder at the moment. So hit it up. I'm excited about that. Hopefully you guys are too. And like I said, thanks. And yep, as I'm seeing it, everyone's saying keep it brutal and stuff. But real quick, Terry says, what's amazing about Peeping Tom is it came out the same year as Psycho, but it destroyed Powell's illustrious career, but the opposite for Hitchcock. Oh, that is interesting. I need to see it. I'm going to see it. Yes, everyone's saying bye. Awesome. Yes, go watch horror movies, people, right now. I might watch one before I go to bed. I don't know. But anyway, thanks everyone for checking this out. Until next time, keep it brutal. And then end.